So we just took like a 3.5 mile hike around Green Lake and Round Lake. This whole state park is called Green Lakes State Park. It's really special because these two lakes are Meromictic lakes, which means that the top and the bottom layers do not mix in the fall and the spring, which is really important because we can learn a lot about what plant and animal life were like, you know, thousands of years ago. So there's a lot of restrictions about the use of this lake. You're not supposed to use motorized boats and things. I believe it's the bacteria in the lake that gives it the blue-green color. And these lakes are incredibly deep for the size of them. And I think they believe that these were the plunge pools from waterfalls off of glaciers as the glaciers were receding, because this was all covered, you know, in the ice age. That's why we have so many beautiful like hills and mountains and stuff here, and gorges and waterfalls. It's also mirror smooth, and it's just a really, really pretty place to be and great place to hike.
Pieces, yeah, I need it. Once you pandemonium.
Welcome to another video. My name is Jeanette, this is I Kill Chickpeas, and I am glad you are here. If you're new, a big hello and welcome. Tonight we're going to be doing salt potatoes because I've had a lot of people ask me what those are. I've mentioned them in a few previous videos and people are wondering what they are, so I'm going to show you tonight. And you guys know that I like to do a lot of my videos like this where I take you along with me on some sort of adventure or scenic outing, show you some of the scenery around where I live, and then wrap things up with some sort of food demo or recipe. So salt potatoes it is. Now salt potatoes are not a type of potato at all. It simply refers to the way that they're cooked. And if you don't know, I am from Syracuse, which is a city that lies almost directly in the middle of upstate New York, and Syracuse was the birthplace of salt potatoes. Syracuse is known as the Salt City because we used to be a very big producer of salt, and it was transported all over the Northeast on the Erie Canal, and rumor has it that it was the Irish workers who would bring little bags of grade B potatoes to work, and then they would boil them in the brine while they were working, and that's where salt potatoes were supposedly born. This was back in the 1800s, and then in the early 1900s, a man named John Hinnerwaddle Jr. started having his famous clam bakes in the area and serving salt potatoes, and then in the 1960s, he started selling the salt potatoes to the public at grocery stores. This is definitely a central New York regional food. We are all very well aware of what these are. You'll see them everywhere in the summertime, barbecues, picnics, parties, and they are actually so popular that they are sold in kits now, and you can find them in pretty much every single grocery store and quite often just your corner gas station. So here's a kit that I picked up. These are Hinnerwaddle salt potatoes, and they're not just any potatoes. They have to be these little white grade 2 potatoes. They're about 1 inch to maybe a couple inches in diameter. Kind of like bite size or slightly bigger, and there's an actual chemistry behind this and an actual formula really to follow. And I never knew this because growing up as a kid I just ate them. Somebody cooked them, I ate them, and I had no idea that there was an actual kind of chemistry behind this. And you can look up on the internet what the actual ratios are, but there's roughly about 1 cup of salt to 4 quarts of water or so it's heavily salted, and about 4.5 pounds of these little white potatoes. And what happens is something magical. The heavily salted water cooks the potatoes at a higher temperature, so the inside of the potato, the starches cook a little bit more fully and they become really rich and creamy. But the nice thing is that the potatoes somehow do not become waterlogged. And when you take them out of the water and you let them air dry for a few minutes, they get this really cool white crust on them from the brine. And let me tell you, they are some of the best potatoes out there. Now, they are typically served with butter. So I have not had a traditional salt potato in like 6 years or so. And sadly, I'm not gonna have a traditional one tonight either. So like I said, they come in kits because it's so popular. So it has a pre-measured amount of salt, tells you how much water to boil, and it has the perfect amount of potatoes. So all I need to do is give these a quick rinse, and then I will cook them according to the package instructions, which say you need 4 quarts of water, the entire contents of the salt packet, bring that to a boil, add all the potatoes and cook for about 20 minutes or until they're tender, drain and serve hot. Eat them plain or melt butter on top. Leave the skins on though, they're the best part. Yes, these are cooked in heavily salted water. Now, if you're watching your salt intake, you can always cut back on the salt a bit, but we don't think about that too much when we're cooking these. So like I said, I no longer eat these in the traditional way with dairy butter. I don't even use vegan butter because I've tried vegan butters and they just don't do anything for me. They're basically all oils. I know a lot of people like them. If you like them, you know, try it on these. They're not for me. They just don't do anything for me. So I'm just gonna put some herbs on top of this and test it out. I know, I filmed it. I know, it's a mess. So even though they are cooked in heavily salted water, they're really not all that salty. Do you think they're that salty?
No.
Nah, not really. So there you have it, Syracuse salt potatoes. All right, that's all I got. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good night.